Hey everybody, welcome back to another exciting episode of the Stash Report from the Stash Project. Today is July 1st, 2019, and just like that, half of the year is gone. So hopefully you guys have had a first good half of 2019. It's been pretty decent here, other than the work to death things, but I'm pretty sure everybody has that whole problem with their jobs as well. So we have a relatively short show. It's just sort of wrapping up the end of June as far as releases go. There's a few things that had came out this week that we're going to cover, and that's pretty much it. We do have one sort of little speculation teaser type of thing. We've referred to it actually in the July compilation video, if you haven't watched that yet, and it is this picture of Ed Sexton at NIMCON, which I believe is the Northern Illinois Modelers IPMS convention. I believe that's what that stands for. I'm going with believe because I didn't actually look it up, but I'm just assuming that's what it is. And this shows Ed with his board that he travels around with, which has the upcoming kit releases on it, and also it has a whole bunch of very, very, very soon to upcome kit releases or stuff that's already been released in boxes along the bottom edge of the table there. And what I'll draw your attention to, and I know it's kind of hard for you guys to see because it's hard to see full screen at home, is the fact that a few things have changed out on the background. And on the right-hand side of the image, where you see the Monte Carlo is poking out from just beside his elbow there, and then you have the Ford GT Le Mans at the top with its decal sheet that, good Lord, I hope that's been fixed. Right there beside where his sleeve ends is a box for the Buick Grand National. So this is something that was added to his little board since NNL East. At NNL East, where that Grand National is sitting is where it was the 1970 Pontiac Firebird, which you can see is in a box now, sitting down there in front of it. So the Buick Grand National is going to get reissued. Of course, that'll just be a straight reissue, much like the Monte Carlo will be. So that's something else that'll come back out. And then it's kind of hard to see in this picture because of the angle of everything, but the middle panel that's underneath the monogram logo, it has the Baja Bandito van on the top, and then it has the Porsche Junior tractor, which is the Reeboks Revell of Germany kit underneath it. Beside it, to the right, there is another new box lid that's been added, and what was there in the past was the 76 Chevrolet pickup truck, the monogram kit that's being reissued. And you see that's there on the table underneath the Pontiac beside the boxed Ford GTLM kit. That is the one that's a little harder to figure out as to what it is because of the angle of this picture. Even blowing up full screen on my large monitor computer at home, it's still not quite evident what it is. But in the reckless speculation nature that is this program sometimes, I am going to go out on a limb here and say that what you're seeing there could be possibly a 1966 Chevrolet Impala convertible. Now, a lot of people will be like, wait a minute, there already is one of those. No, there's a 65 Impala convertible, and there's, of course, the 66 Impala Coupe, or as it's branded because they didn't want to pay for the Impala licensing or whatever, it's the 66 Chevy SS396 hardtop. The reason I say that this is what it is, first of all, when you do blow it up, is obviously it's an Impala. Second of all, it does not appear to have a roof on it. There is some big black mark behind the car, but I believe that's more of like a rock outcropping because it looks like it's parked along a beachfront. So I'm thinking that's part of the background, not the roof. It's certainly not a roof that I've ever seen as far as the shape of it would go. I'm not aware of any factory 66 Impala that comes two-toned with a black roof on the top. Now, if that's something that happened, so be it. But, that might be a vinyl roof, but that wasn't something that Kit had. Kit doesn't have a vinyl roof, so the only thing that would make me think that possibly it's just a reissue of the hardtop is the fact that the hardtop was last released 9 years ago. Now, the hardtop's not a hard kit to find. It's not like I'm pretty sure it's still in the catalog, as a matter of fact. So I don't think it's that. And the reason why I think that if it is a convertible Impala, it's a 66. The 65 Impalas, for anybody who has them, knows that the 65 Impalas, for whatever reason, have bumperettes or bumper guards on the front bumpers. The 66 does not have bumper guards, and this, whatever this is on this box art, doesn't have bumper guards either. And the last thing that makes me think that this is a 66 Impala convertible is when I talked to Ed Sexton at the NNL in New Jersey, I asked him just, in if there's anything he could sort of speculate on in the future. He said that that week after the NNL East, they were going to be putting on or giving to the German side, the German management side, a presentation involving taking two kits from an existing kit family, combining the two together, and creating a third kit of a subject matter that does not currently exist. So for anybody who knows, obviously the 65 and the 66 Impala are based on the same tool, and combining the two together, the 65 chrome or the 66 chrome and bits and pieces with the 65 Impala body, would give you Shazam, a third thing that is not currently a kit that Revell does. So there's really been no confirmation one way or another what that is. There's never been another picture of it posted with a better angle of this. I guess nobody else who went to the show has a camera, or if they do, they don't post it anywhere. They don't post on Facebook or modeling forums. But be that as it may, I believe that's what that is. I believe that's going to be a 66 Impala convertible. I know that's not going to set the world on fire necessarily in terms of exciting new releases from Revell, but I do appreciate the fact that first of all, they're still making new things. I mean, that is a new kit, whether you like it or not. And it's also, to me, in my humble opinion, a good use of existing tooling to take two somethings and make it into a third something. So that was one of the focuses of Blitz. The new ownership from Germany was trying to extract, obviously, as much value as they can out of the existing tooling, which doesn't mean they're not going to make new toolkits in the future. But obviously, they want to, a great deal focuses on trying to expand the repertoire, as it were, out of the existing stuff, because it just makes fiscal sense. I mean, they didn't pay a whole heck of a lot for it. The tooling is only $50,000 in the end with the auction price. So, everything they can do to wring a couple of nickels out of it, hey, I mean, it's almost free money. I'm not exactly sure what you would have to do necessarily to combine the 66 and the 65. I never really I haven't taken the parts out to really sort of try to combine them together and see, what you have to do to put the 66 chrome. Obviously, the wheels will just transfer over, but put the 66 chrome into the 65 Impala convertible. I have them actually; they're sitting side by side on my shelf, but I don't think it would be too terribly much. These days with decals being a lot of the badging on cars, I would think that there may not be necessarily the need to do too terribly much with like the body shell. I'm just sort of sitting here glancing side by side. And other than putting the new front end on, if you ever want to like a little fun, take the 66 Impala, the SS396 kit, and if you have one of the original monogram boxed 65 Impalas, and set them side by side. Remember the 65 Impala came in a box like this big. It was one of those huge flat boxes that Monogram and then Revell Monogram used for about 3 years there in the very late 1980s, early 1990s. And things like the 50 convertible, the 54 came out in it, the 55 Bel Air convertible came out in it, the 56 Nomad came out in it, the Cadillac, the Eldorado, that was the original kit that came out in those big boxes. The 65 Impala came out in it. I want to say that the 59 Impala came out in one of those as well, the original one, and then there were a couple of overseas stuff, like they reboxed the Revell Germany Bugatti EB110, that came out in one of those big boxes as well. If you take the parts layout of the 65 Impala and the parts layout of the 66 Impala and you set them side by side and you compare the two, you will quickly realize that the 66 Impala is a lot of 65 Impala, first of all, but that they basically just took the parts runners and chopped them up a little bit to fit them in the smaller box. You can literally take the 66 Impala parts, lay them out the way the 65 Impala parts are, and then connect them back together again. You can see where the sprues were cut up to fit it into the smaller box. So if you ever needed proof or evidence that those two obviously share the same basic tooling for things like the suspension, chassis, engine, things like that. I imagine you probably put the interiors are probably different between the 65 and the 66, maybe, possibly, but then that's just including a different interior piece in it. Maybe you would have to create a new back seat type of area for where the convertible boot is. Maybe not. I honestly, I have all of the 65, 66 Impalas from Revella and the Foose one. But I really have never really sat down to build one, and I don't know why. I kind of like 60. I like that body style Impala, but it is what it is in that sense. So that's like the teaser for this week. So we'll go to kit releases. There's one release here in the U.S. on the domestic side of things, and this is the last kit for June from round 2, and is the AMT boxed double header. So I've mentioned a couple times I didn't think the Consolidated Freightways would have used a sleeper cab W925 in their operations. I have found that this is the reproduction of the original box art when I was trying to figure out if this has been reissued yet. So apparently, maybe they did. I would assume it'd be a West Coast team type of thing. Consolidated Freightways was from the West Coast to begin with, but I'm thinking that if you were going to have those, they would be out west. They would be pulling doubles from like LA to Portland, Seattle to San Diego, things like that. But what you get in this is obviously 2 trailers, plus you get what is known as a converter dolly. That is the set of fifth wheels on a set of wheels that convert or hook the 2 sets of doubles up. So it is 2 full trailers, 2 full trailer suspensions, the converter dolly to hook the 2 things together. The doors work on the trailers because Trailmobile and the deal they had with them and making their doors work. The decals are obviously recreated for the Consolidated Freightways thing. I don't know if the Consolidated Freightways decals come in the W925. I have one. I just don't think I've ever really opened it up and looked at to see what decals it came with. Or the decals for the truck might be in the decals for the trailers. I didn't really particularly flip the box over and look. But that is out and re-released. I know something a lot of people had wanted to see come back. And then that takes us overseas for our other 3 kits that we're going to talk about. First up from Tamiya, cleaning up the month of June, is their reissue of the Mazda 787B. This, of course, has absolutely zero mention now of the fact that it is the 1991 24 Hours of Le Mans winning car. The Cibi decals, which is a lighting company. The Dunlop decals, both on the car itself and the tire decals, are gone. And then there are now the scrutineering entry badges for the car itself are gone. Now, Frankie over SK is having a sheet printed with all of the replacement stuff on it. I believe Blue Stuff, which is a company out of France, has that coming or is out. And then also Shunko is going to have a set of that coming out. I believe Taboo is as well. So everybody is on board of fixing the missing decal issues with this Tamiya kit. Other than that, it is a straight reissue of the existing kit that was last seen quite a while ago. These were going for a lot of money, except in Japan. You can find these in Japan for about $35, $40, which is still way more than the kit cost originally. However, it was a lot less than you'd see them going for in the United States. Another thing about this is the original ones of these were molded in orange. They are now molded strictly in white. So they're cartograph decals in here, which do some of the orange areas, or maybe some of the green areas. Now that I think about it, yeah, some of the green areas. But if you want to two-tone it, you're going to have to two-tone the whole thing now. It's not going to be a situation where it's already, orange and you just use the green decals. It is a full detail kit. It does have a full rotary engine and everything else like that. These were the Group C kits that Tamiya made that were really, really detailed back in the day. And it's good to see it come back out. A lot of people are lamenting the lack of the decals, but at this point, I think, unless you're just building race cars randomly because, ooh, shiny, and you like the subject matter, if you're building race cars, you're used to the idea of buying more stuff to make better race car kits. Studio 27, as a matter of fact, has a carbon fiber decal setup for this. It came out almost a year ago now. They reprinted it for this month, and they also reran, because you don't really print photo etch, but they reran the 787B photo etch. So if you were looking for the photo etch set that comes with this, which has stuff like the winglet ends and brakes, discs, and things like that, that is back out there as well. So you can plow quite a bit of money into this should you want to go that way. Tamiya is also, and it'll be interesting to see when we get it here in the United States, if we get it here in the United States, is releasing a special, what they're calling fluorescent orange TS spray paint for this. It's TS96 fluorescent orange. That is a different color than the call out for it originally. I'm not sure what. I think it might just required like the TS. I think it's 14 orange, but yeah, they're doing a special color for it. And then places like Splash and Zero and things like that, they have color match lacquer airbrush paint if you want to go that way for it. So, at any rate, that's back out. That kit, by the way, if you don't have one, it'll be very interesting to see if you get one. That kit sold out of Hobby Search so fast that it never actually made the release list. It was in and out of stock the same day. HobbyLink Japan listed as being discontinued. So if you didn't have one on pre-order, because if anybody like tried to get one from HobbyLink Japan after the fact, they were on order stop, which meant that they couldn't take any more orders because they didn't know if they get enough stock in. They're gone. I know a guy who ordered it through Hobby Search. He ordered 2 of them. They cut him back to getting 1 because of the amount they got in from Tommy. It was less than they were expecting. So they're floating around on eBay and Buyee and places like that. Buyee being the Japanese or a English language proxy bidding service for Yahoo Japan auctions, but they're going for close to $50 again for the reissue. So that was I don't know if it's intended to be that limited or they just didn't run as many as they thought they were going to have to. Maybe they didn't expect quite the demand. But it'd be very interesting to see if that gets more of a production run done, or if they legitimately are running what they ran, and that's going to be it. Because if it was, I don't think it really did too much to alleviate the situation that already existed, in the fact that it was very hard to get one of those kits, and now it's still pretty hard to get one of those kits. So, what are you going to do? I guess over at Aoshima, we got their one release, last release for June, and it is this, the 1998 Nissan Skyline 25 GTX Turbo. So this is the next release off of the Mordor R34, as we like to call it. This has a completely different front clip on it. I believe the headlights and the headlight lenses are the same. They carry over as does the hood, but the fenders are different, and the front bumper is different. Different wheels, different rear spoiler, different rear end treatment. This comes with all the ground effects in it. You may recall that when the R34 GT S came out, there was one kit that was molded in blue that is a completely and totally factory stock one, and then there was one that was molded in like silver that was like called like the Aero option package and had some ground effects in it and a set of TE37 wheels. This is the ground effects out of that kit, so it is in here. So if you happen to want to put them on the other one or whatever, there is a set of ground effects. They're not molded into the body, they're separate, so you put them into whatever you want to. There's about 25 new parts in this kit that obviously did not exist in the first one to backdate it. 2002, the car got a minor revision, and that is what the first kit was. So this basically takes it back to 1998, which was the first one of these, that the first time the R34s came out. So that kit's out there if you're interested. And then lastly for this video, the one new tool kit that we were still waiting for from June, and that is this, the Mitsubishi Lancer Turbo 1984 Royal Auto Club Rally version. So this is the Rack Rally. Brand new toolkit. It is a curbside, but everything about it is new. It does not share any pieces, parts, or origins with anything else. You get 3 different car numbers. There were 3 of these entered in the 1984 Rack Rally. The one on the box, got second place in its class or won its class. There were a couple of different A class or Group A type of vehicles, and there was Group A and Group AB. And I want to say that this is the winning Group AB car, and then they give you the decals for the second place Group A car and another car that I think was also Group A that had an off-road excursion and did not finish. So be that as it may, looks like a pretty decent kit if you're into the subject matter. It's an Advan-ish livery. That's not really technically Advan sponsored on this one, but obviously the whole black and white triangles is the Advan livery. And there will be other versions of this coming that are not necessarily rally versions, so keep an eye out for that in the future. And then also, to complement it, is the detail upset. So this has seatbelt ribbon for the seatbelts, antenna, the air injector for the air jacks, the Seatbelt decals, which for some reason can't be included on the regular decals. There's got to be a licensing thing there. And then a sheet of photo etch, which has some vents, some footrests, some number plates for both the license plates themselves as well as the rally plates. a whole bunch of fasteners and obviously all the seatbelt hardware and stuff like that. This is one of I would say the detail upsets that, other than the antenna, getting these metal antennas is so nice because they're so much more obviously scale accurate than the plastic one that's included in the kit. Plus, I just, I've still yet to plumb a set of seatbelts using their system yet, but it just seems like a much nicer set of seatbelts than obviously the decal seatbelts are. And just not having to go out and find material to make the seatbelts out of is nice. But a lot of the stuff that is in this kit, other than like the rally plates and things like that, are included as plastic parts. Um, and they don't necessarily need to be replaced, I guess would be where I'd go with it. Like I have this set for the Toyota Corona, which is one of the kits that's sort of half built laying around here. And I replaced the footwell sort of footrest where it would be the heel rest basically for the driver, as well as a footrest, a dead pedal. Um, and both of those in Photo Etch are much more, delicate obviously, but much better pieces than the plastic injected pieces. A lot of what you're getting in this in terms of those pieces, they really don't, to me, they don't look like they necessarily improve much. Now, I don't have mine yet. It's still in Japan. So my opinion of that may change when I have it in front of me, but just sort of looking at the instructions for the kit as to what you're replacing with what, some of the mesh is nice to have, but it's not really totally necessary. There's only really one mesh area on this kit that has, like, you're replacing that screen door mesh stuff they give you with. So it all depends on what you're looking at. I mean, it's about $17, so it's really not too terribly bad price wise. But compared to some of their photo etch sets, which I have said in the past are a requirement to build the kit, as far as I'm concerned, in terms of looks and things like that, this is, I think, really comes down to your personal preference of whether or not you like playing with photo etch and what you want to do with the kit in terms of how you're building it, basically. So, at any rate, guys, I guess that piece of part, whatever you want to consider it, wraps up this episode for this week. So, anyway, I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you guys on the other side.